A new warning tonight from the American justice system that distracted drivers will be treated as criminals. A landmark verdict in Massachusetts today convicted a driver of vehicular homicide, and his crime was blamed on texting while driving.
Welcome to the only show that was created to help keep you alive behind the wheel. I'm your host, Howard Drescher, the creator of Distracteddriversbusted.com, and now this podcast. I created a reality TV show that puts victim and perpetrator together for a better understanding and a time for healing and, if possible, forgiveness. You can always follow us on Facebook at Distracteddriversbusted.com, and of course on Twitter it's DistracteddbTV, and of course in Gmail, DistracteddbTV@gmail.com. It's sad to say, but it's true. By the time you get done listening to this podcast, someone is going to get involved into a car crash. Somebody is going to get hurt. Somebody will injure somebody. Someone is going to the hospital. Somebody, it could even be the distracted driver themselves. My next guest, Zoe Shuler, comes out of Chicago. She worked with a youth group in Chicago dealing with teens, got involved in this organization that we're going to talk about today, and we're going to bring her on the air. Zoe, how are you?
Hi, Howard. I'm great. Thanks for asking.
All right. Now, you know, you've been working in this program probably a lot longer than I've been doing my podcast shows, and I know that there's a lot of things dealing with distracted driving and the teens. Let me ask you this. How did you get involved in this, and when did it start?
Yeah, so I got involved with this. I was actually working for AmeriCorps, which, for those of you that aren't familiar, is basically the domestic version of Peace Corps. It's a year commitment to a nonprofit, and that's domestic. So I was working for an organization in Chicago called Prevention First. And through Prevention First, I got connected with SAD, Students Against Destructive Decisions, which was formerly known as Students Against Driving Drunk, but expanded in the 90s to be Students Against Destructive Decisions. And it was through working with teens that I found out that that crashes were the number one killer, because I really didn't know that beforehand. And through that, in working with them and in getting access to this distracted driving simulator that I had through the nonprofit Prevention First that I was working with and SAD, I was going to schools and I was talking to teens about the issue, and I felt like it was really important work. I felt really immediately connected to the issue. I knew it was important. But the distracted driving simulator on its own felt sort of like I was providing a video game, and I wanted to do more. And I connected with my boss at the time, and she actually introduced me to Dr. Kelly Browning, who's the executive director of Impact Teen Drivers. I got to see, it was in Itasca, Illinois, I got to see a couple hours of her explaining about Impact Teen Drivers and their, which is now our Bedrock program, What Do You Consider Lethal? And that program is really user-friendly, flexible, easily adaptable. It's an hour-long presentation given to teens, and I thought, oh my God, this is perfect. So I started using that and actually getting into these Chicago schools, and I'll never forget my first group. It was 400 teens, an all-boys school.
Again, keep it safe out there. No texting and driving. And feel free to pass it on. Until next week, thank you.